Hi everyone, it is currently December 31st. It is almost 5 p.m. It's New Year's Eve and I just wanted to record a video all about the year that's been for 2024 because it's definitely been a year of challenges, both in the best way possible and the worst ways possible. Definitely a year of ups and downs. Overall it's been like a really positive year, and I want to have really positive outlook on the year overall, but there has definitely been some extremely challenging moments. So I thought I would share my year with you as a recap. Some of you may have been following me throughout the year as well, so you'll be aware of a lot of the things that I've been up to and I've been doing, but I thought this would be a nice way to finish off the year. I love New Year's anyway. It's one of my favourite holidays. It's something it was always just really magical when I was a child. We'd always stay at home, and my mum was really into New Year's, and it was a lot about she was never really into Christmas and stuff, but she loved New Year's. So she'd have these things of letting the old year out by opening up the back door and then letting the new year in with the front door open, and there'd be fireworks. And later on, as I got older, obviously you go out partying sometimes, but I used to just love being at home with my dad and watching. There's this thing called the Jules Holland Hootenanny. It's basically just, I think it's recorded actually in October, but celebrities and they're singing songs, and it was just something that we'd always watch together as the Hootenanny. So I'll definitely have that on tonight, but also in later years then I've just really enjoyed today on New Year's Eve, reflecting on the year that's been and setting intentions for the year ahead. And having done that for the last few years, it's so funny because never the year that I intended to be is it. It's always so much more than anything I could have thought of. You think you're thinking big and stuff, but it's so small compared to what world and life can really show at you, in a good way. I now, looking back on 2024, 100% could never have thought that I would have done any of the things that I'm about to tell you that I did this year that happened. It's just been an absolutely life-changing year, but that's due to decisions that I made around this time last year. So I really set myself up for a great 2024. So yeah, I just wanted to share with you what my year has been, and if I could encourage any of you to really reflect on your year, good or bad or indifferent, and set some intentions. I know everyone's new year, new me, and they just make fun of it, and they make fun of resolutions and stuff, but honestly I just don't see anything negative about setting intentions or about wanting to make a change in a positive direction. You don't have to do it on January 1st, but why not use January 1st? Why not use a Monday? Why not use whatever, your birthday, Chinese New Year, whatever kind of marker there is for you to say, do you know what, come this day I'm going to make a difference, I'm going to make a change. I just think that's a good thing. I don't think anything negative can come from that. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It's totally fine. But yeah, I'm going to call this video a year of challenges. I'm going to start off with the bad and then finish off on the good. Again, as I said, overall it's been a really good year, but there's been one outstanding event that happened in 2024 that was extremely challenging on its own, but also as it was happening it was even more challenging. So I'll just say I'll start off with this, and then I'll move on to all the cool things that happened during the year. But January 1st, 2024, I was about 20 weeks pregnant, and I started this thing called 75 Hard. I feel like it's become my identity, but if you know, if you've done it, you'll understand why. It's just such a big thing. And it has been such a big part of my life over the last year. But I started 75 Hard on January 1st, 2024, 20 weeks pregnant. I ended up failing due to necessity, day 40 something. And I started it again and I completed it. But it meant that I was doing 75 Hard for approximately 4 months. And I only had about 4.5 months left of my pregnancy. So I finished 75 hard on a Friday, and then on the Saturday I had to go to hospital because I had severe pain in my back and stuff, and they ended up keeping me in for the last 2 weeks of my pregnancy for observation, not because of my back but because my baby was an unstable lie, which meant that she was just moving all the time. Like every single time they checked her, she was in a different position, and they said because I was so close to birth, especially as it wasn't my first child, if anything was to happen and I was to birth her or go into labour and I wasn't in the hospital, if the cord was to go out first, then I mean best case scenario would be brain damage. So not a good not a good scenario, and you know, the risk was too high, so they wanted to keep me in. So that's one thing. So I did have to spend the last 2 weeks of my pregnancy in the hospital, which was fine. What was really challenging about all of that is that at the exact same time that I was in hospital, my dad was also in hospital. So my dad had been quite sick for a number of years. He was in his 80s. But this year it just he wasn't doing great. So he had to go into hospital for a couple of weeks, and then the plan was, or for a period of time, and then the plan was for him to go into respite care for 4 weeks before coming home. What my family decided to do at the same time, while he wasn't going to be there for 5-6 weeks or whatever, to get like necessary work done on the house, like get all the electrics done. So like literally all the floorboards were pulled up, the place was absolutely stripped of everything. Like it wasn't a house, it was a construction site or whatever. But unfortunately, while he was in hospital, he took a turn and he had to go in for an operation, and he was in ICU and he was pulling through that and everything, and then he went into palliative care in the hospital. I was actually that Saturday, like I was still doing, it was like my last week 75 hard, and I was extremely pregnant. I think it was like 38 weeks or 37 weeks pregnant, and I was still doing my walks and my exercises and everything, and I was doing that while visiting my dad in the hospital. And then that Saturday I had really bad pain. I actually went into the hospital to see my dad that day, and I started really struggling to walk, and I had to borrow a wheelchair from the palliative care ward to get down to the car, because I was just in so much pain. We came home, and then we ended up driving into my hospital, which was a different hospital in the same city, and that's where they were like, oh, you have to stay in. Anyways, so all of that was going on, so that was like really stressful. Because of my first pregnancy, I didn't have anything like that at all. It was totally different. So for 2 weeks pretty much, we didn't know what was going to happen first, and you know, was the baby going to come, was my dad going to pass, like what was going on. It was very helpless, like, and hopeless as well. Like I was just kind of like in the hospital, just lying there, couldn't do anything. I was in pain. After having 4 months of like intense activity and positivity and doing so much, I just all of a sudden was just bedridden basically. And like, I keep talking about it, but my dad, like, it's just like a typical like hospital blanket, but it was a blue, like pale blue kind of blanket that he had on him in his hospital ward, which is palliative care. It's like end of life, complete polar opposite to me. Under my pale blue blanket, exact same one, in a ward of life and expectation and hope and joy and excitement. It was real, kind of like I'm lying there and it's like a circle of life. It was just wild. It was crazy. We had gone to see The Lion King on my first child in the theatre, and you know, the circle of life for that reason was just like circling around me so much. I just kept thinking about it and stuff. So anyways, how it ended up was my dad passed. It was actually a crazy week. I won't go into all of the different things that happened, but it's been wild. So my dad passed on the 2nd of May. The 4th of May was my wedding anniversary. So my dad had just passed, and my husband still bringing in flowers and stuff into the hospital, because I'm still in the hospital when he passed, to mark our anniversary. The 6th of May then, so 2 days later, would have been my dad's birthday. So 2nd of May he dies, 4th of May is our anniversary, 6th of May is his birthday, and then the 9th of May is my mother-in-law's birthday, and then the 11th of May my daughter was born. Crazy. So basically, it's just all mad. So he had passed on the 2nd, I don't know what day that was, but because of the risk factor, like I still had to stay in the hospital because I couldn't be, like, you literally only have like 1 to 2 minutes or something. But like if I was in the hospital and something happened, I went into labour, they could bring me straight down for emergency cesarean. But if I'm not in the hospital and something happens, like it's just it's a bad situation. So anyways, I had to stay in the hospital, but then on the Tuesday he was going to be in the funeral home, so I was able to leave after breakfast on the Tuesday. They gave me permission to leave the hospital. I think I had to sign forms, I can't remember, but my husband collected me, we left, went back to the house, I got changed into like morning clothes, and then we went to the funeral home and I seen him, and then went to see him in the funeral home. I was with my daughter, obviously. I have a 2-year-old as well. She would have been only 1 actually at the time, and seen my family and everything. And then we came back here and I was able to sleep here that night, and then first thing the next morning I had to be over at my dad's house at like 8 a.m. or something. So all of us up and dressed. Bear in mind, I'm so pregnant at this stage, like it's crazy. So this is the Wednesday morning. Get up, go to the funeral, go to the burial, go to the afters. I'm wobbling around, can't get up to get communion or to do anything. Like I'm just an absolute, like I'm just very pregnant. And I'm also in pain. My back is still sore. And then went from the like afters of the burial back to the hospital. Mad. So that was the Wednesday. And then the Friday I started to get induced. So there was a lot of other stuff there back and forth with the hospitals about like delivery. Like we had tried manual manipulation. They wanted to give me a cesarean on the Thursday. I only found out the Wednesday night when I arrived back from my dad's funeral. They're like, oh, you're scheduled for a cesarean tomorrow. But thankfully, I don't think I would have done it anyway, because I was just like, I just need a day. Honestly, I just need like a day just to like process everything before jumping into like a big surgery tomorrow. But when I went back to the hospital on the Wednesday evening, she was actually in position. And they're like, well, they're not going to do cesarean if she's in position anyway. Because that was like the first time she was really in position. Like she was kind of like loosely in position, but she was in position. And then the next morning, they checked me again. So that's the Thursday morning. She was still in position. And they were like, well, she has to stay in position for, I think, 24 or 48 hours. I can't remember. And then if she stays in position that whole time, then they'll do an induction, because they don't want her to move again. So they want to kind of get her when she's there, but they don't want to do it too quickly and then for her to move, because that's it, emergency cesarean, if all of a sudden you're induced and you're in labour and she's after flipping position. So it was very kind of precarious. So this was the Friday I did get induced. I was actually due on the Monday, so it's slightly early. The Friday morning, a consultant that I never spoke to before came in and she was like, you're in position, your time hasn't come yet. I don't know why they have you scheduled for an induction, because I should just be sending you home. And I'm like, there's just too much chopping and changing. It was up and down. Like my brain was just like frazzled. It was mental. But thankfully she checked me and she was like, you know what? You're not fully in position. You're not fully at your due date. But she didn't like float away or move when I pressed on her head. So I'm happy enough for you to go ahead. I don't know if from like that first conversation to her checking me, did someone explain my situation with my dad and stuff, but she seemed a lot softer when she came back and she checked me and she was like, okay, you can be induced. So we're moving on quickly from my dad passing away to delivering a child. My first baby was also induced. She was induced 10 days past her due date, and it was a really lovely experience. I ended up getting the epidural, but it was just like, it was a really, really lovely experience. This time around, like everything was fine. I was like, oh, the time has come. Like my husband had just started a new position. Like he had left a job that he had been in for years, and he started out on his own as like a consultant for another company. And there was a lot of like, oh, my father-in-law has just passed away. Oh, my baby is due. Like it was like he literally had just started in May as well. So he's only a couple of weeks in the job, and it was just like so much messing and stuff. But anyway, he comes on the Friday. I am induced. Everything is fine. All the midwives that I had known for the last 2 weeks, they were all there. It was lovely. I got on really well with all the midwives. And then at like 7 o'clock or something, it was a changeover. Obviously, all of a sudden, 2 midwives that I did not know came in, and they were just so unbothered. Like the worst midwives of all the midwives that I knew. Those 2 weeks, I don't know, maybe every 2 weeks is like a changeover of staff or something, I don't know, but it was just, they just did not care. I had already been induced for a while now. At this stage I was due for them to check me, and like I was starting to get more and more pains, and all of a sudden like two other women in the ward were also going into labour, and they were screaming in pain, and like these 2 midwives just did not care. Pair that with the fact that that night, which is the 10th of May 2024, around the world, but like in Ireland, there was a huge geostorm, and you could see the northern lights extremely clearly from just your naked eye. You just see it, like, and the midwives, like at one point, like my bed was beside a window, and my husband could see the midwives down in the courtyard up, like taking pictures. Like they just did not care at all about like the fact that like we're here labouring. And I knew I was in so much pain. I was like, I need the epidural. Like, I need to get down to the labour ward so I can get the epidural. And they were like, no, it's not time, blah, blah, blah. Only for the fact that my husband ended up advocating for me and saying our last baby ended up coming really quick in the end. Like, we have to go down. She checked me again, and I dilated from like 2 to 3 or whatever. And she was like, okay, we'll send you down. They sent me down. I want to say they sent me down 11 p.m. I ended up getting sent down to the labour ward, getting in. I'm in so much pain. They get the esthetician or whatever the person's name is to come in and do the epidural. It's all this like rigmarole of telling you what it is, and you need to read a sheet, and I'm just like, just give me the epidural. Like, I do not care. They put it in. You have to wait 45 minutes, and then if it hasn't worked, then they can top up the epidural. So 45 minutes goes along. All of a sudden I'm getting like really, really sore pains, like kind of my right hip area, kind of ovary area. I don't know how to explain it. I think maybe her head or her shoulder or something was digging into me at every contraction, but it was like an overwhelming pain. It was really, really sore. Epidural hadn't worked completely. I think it did like ease the pain a little bit, but I still had this like really severe pain on my right side every time I had a contraction. On top of that, like with every contraction, her heart rate was dropping. So anyways, what happened was they said that I could get a top up for the epidural at 1:45. So it was 45 minutes later. They checked me. I was like 10 centimeters dilated. So within 45 minutes of getting down there, I was 10 centimeters. Imagine if my husband had not advocated for me with those midwives, I could have been delivering my baby in the pre-labor ward, which would have been a story. It would have been mental. But within 45 minutes, my baby's coming, or I'm 10 centimeters dilated, and the doctor that's on is just like, look, the best way for you to relieve your pain is just to push and get this baby out. And not only that, as I said, every contraction, her heart rate was dropping. They're like, we need just get this baby out or whatever. So I'm like, it was like so different to my experience with my first child. Like, it was really, really stressful and painful and rushed and crazy. Like, you bring all this stuff with you for when you're gonna like be in the labour ward, snacks and your this and your that or whatever. I didn't unpack. I didn't have time. I was literally in and out. So my baby was born just after midnight. Honestly, I don't remember. Like, I feel like I'm like traumatized from her birth a little bit, but there was something that like, or maybe it was like 12 that I went down, and I think she was born just after 1. I know that's terrible. Like, if my husband was here, I'd be able to say what time she was born, but like, she was born just after the hour. And so technically it was on the Saturday morning, but imagine that was a Saturday morning, like just after midnight. I just buried my dad on the Friday, or on the Wednesday, sorry, like mental, like like in a way it's 2 days later, like mad. But she was born, and she was born with her cord wrapped around her neck twice and her cord wrapped around her feet once. And we had said to the midwife that we wanted my husband to like delay cutting the cord and that he was going to cut it and all this sort of stuff. But I knew as soon as she came out, there was no messing around. Midwife cut the cord. The room just swarmed with people. I already had like a student doctor in that was like American, a man. He'd never seen like a vaginal birth before. So he wanted to be in to see that. But then the room just like swarmed with like antenatal doctors like taking the baby over, and there was just none of this like, oh my god, I just had a baby. It was like the room just like went still, and my focus was just like laser focus on the doctor that had the baby. Sorry. So when I say baby, like it's so funny actually, like I've been saying this before, when you're pregnant, to me it's like the 2 pregnancies I've had is like the baby's in your belly and that's the baby, and it's like as soon as they're born then they become who they are. But it's like this mental separation between like the baby and my daughter Saoirse. But yeah, so that was really stressful. But then she was born and she was totally fine and everything was good, and I was in like semi-private, so I was brought to this ward and there was only 3 beds on the ward. And the food in the hospital that I go to, which is the Rotunda in Dublin, it's the oldest maternity hospital in the world, I'll just say that. And I was born in the Rotunda as well, so it has a good track record. But the food there is really good. Like it's known for really good food, and it really is. And like that saved me over the 2 weeks that I was practically living there. But that first night, like Saoirse just slept all the time. She did for the first 4 months of her life. She's been like the most amazing placid little baby. And first 4 months of life, she puts herself to sleep, and she just sleeps. Like in the hospital while we were there, one of the midwives actually gave out to us because we're like, she needs to be fed. Like you need to wake her up. And I'm like, totally different. My first child like screamed all the first night because she was just so hungry, and spent her first like year just like wanting milk. But Saoirse was just polar opposite. And honestly, like in that ward the first night, like there was 2 moms or whatever, and then I was told I could go the next day, and I was like, can I just stay here? Like I just need to like relax and just enjoy this space with me and my baby that is just sleeping beside me, and I don't need to do anything with her. And I'm getting fed all this nice food, and it was just so serene. And the room was lovely, and I was beside the window. And the next day, the 2 beds emptied out. Like there was no one in them for the next day and night or whatever. And it was just so relaxing, and yeah, it was really nice. So I actually postponed my trip home, and it was good because she was born on a Saturday, so postponed the going home on the Sunday until the Monday. And then the Monday there was more kind of like consultants and people doing checks and stuff on the baby. So like she would have got those checks and everything had I not stayed the extra night. So it's a good thing if you're having a baby, try to stay until a weekday. And I just knew so much more this time, like to request to see this kind of consultant or that or whatever, what questions to ask that I didn't know the first time around. But as you can imagine, that was just all so mental, crazy, stressful. So imagine going from like 4 months of like positivity and walking and doing yoga for the first time ever, and I started doing YouTube videos. These are all like positive things that have happened, and just having a really good time to like, bam, my dad is not well. My dad just wanted to go home. He was like, they're killing me in here. I just want to go home. He didn't have a home to go to because it was getting renovated at the time. So he had to just like die in hospital. Like it's I have so many thoughts about palliative care, and you know, if and when I'm ever in that situation again, which I really hope I'm not, but if I am, like I'll be advocating for my loved ones so much more, because like when you're in it, especially the first time, I think they prey on the fact that you don't know what's going on and you just have to like trust their judgment. But I just don't think it's right. I think it's cruel actually and he's right, they were killing him, and he just wanted to go home. He couldn't. So yeah, so that was a really tough period of my life in May. But other than that, you know, there's been other sad things. Like my husband's family dog passed away. She was like 15-ish. I'm not sure exactly. She might have been 16. She could have been 14. Not fully sure. But gorgeous little dog. She also passed away. But overall, it's been like really, really, really exciting year. As I said, my husband got new work. We are also renovating a house in Portugal, which started this year. So we spent the month of February pretty much in Portugal while I was pregnant as well, and we were like meeting different construction companies and stuff like that, and just kind of like assessing who we wanted to work with, and we chose who we wanted to work with, and then, you know, they started the work, and it's just been so exciting, like so exciting. We hope to move this time next year. Like 2025 is going to be such a pivotal year for us as well, in terms of like setting up our whole life in Portugal and in general. But so all that work started, and it's making really good headway, and we're really excited, and we're really happy with the company that we chose and the guy that we chose to work with, and it's just been really exciting. And in November we went over for a weekend, like a long weekend, and we chose like all our fittings for inside, because they'll also do all of that, so all the like tiles and bathroom fittings and kitchen fittings and everything. And we're converting downstairs like half of our garage into a 2-bed apartment, so we also have all our fittings chose for down there, and it's really, really, really exciting, like really, really fun. So between like the big focus on having a new baby and being a family of 4 rather than a family of 3, and navigating the world of like toddlerhood with a newborn, and again, thankfully, best newborn ever. But you know, having the house there, my husband starting new work, as I said, and you know, everything that entails, but thankfully that's been such a positive change as well. It's just been really, really good, and that's just kind of like the foundational things. Like on top of that was a lot of other challenges, like positive fitness challenges that I was doing. So I started 75 hard, as I said. During that, I just got a feeling, I was like, oh my god, look what I can do, because my mobility was actually a lot more restricted this pregnancy than it was last pregnancy. I didn't have any issues. Whereas this, like within a couple of weeks of doing yoga, just myself at home, not knowing what I was doing, I was able to like do actions with my body that I wasn't able to do originally, and I recorded myself doing it, and I posted on YouTube, and it was only like 2-minute video or whatever, but that just kind of inspired me to do more videos, and it's been a really nice creative outlet for me throughout the year to be able to just like vlog things, like even like trips that we did, like holidays and stuff like that, like vlog them and post them up here for us to be able to look back on in the future. But also like vlog about 75 hard, or we attempted 75 soft. I attempted 75 soft twice. My husband attempted it once. Did really well in both of them. I'm really glad that we did them, but we definitely did not reach the 75 days on 75 soft. I think I just do better with something that's a lot more strict and like black and white rather than a bit kind of grey area. Doesn't really work for me. But we also twice attempted or did the carnivore diet, like really strict carnivore. So going from like pescatarian to carnivore is like a huge jump. But that was amazing, just like learning about ourselves, learning about food, learning about shopping, learning about ingredients. Really, really focus on health. I attempted the Couch to 5k. A lot of this is vlogged and put up on my YouTube. Did not complete that either, and honestly I'm not a fan of Couch to 5k since doing it. I'm just like, I think it would be easier just to try get up and just do 5k runs rather than attempt to train yourself to do Couch to 5k. It wasn't a good time. But again, that experience is on my YouTube channel. And even just to go back to carnivore, like I used it as a really good like elimination diet, and then like just experimenting with my body postpartum as well. Probably whatever, but using it like as an opportunity to reintroduce foods and see how I vibe with them. And it's just been like really, really interesting and an insightful year. And then one amazing thing that came out of all of that combined, so the new birth, the creativity with YouTube, the focus on like fitness challenges and mental challenges, and you know, all the things. Like one of the things with 75 Hard and 75 Soft is you're reading non-fiction books, so like I'm ingesting so much new information. I developed a pregnancy journal, which I absolutely am totally 100% in love with. And not only that, but I've sponsored 2 events in January, like literally in a few weeks. It will be the first event, and I started making my website, which isn't complete yet, and I don't even have like the final sample of the journal, and I definitely won't have the journals by the events in January, which is not good. I thought I'd have a stall and have them all there, but I'll figure it out, it'll all be fine. But like that's so unexpected and so amazing, and I'm just like really happy with myself. And I've got a business coach that I'm gonna work with. I've worked with him previously on something different a few years back, but I'm gonna start working with him again the end of January, and that's just like really, really exciting. And you know, a lot of the work that I did this year with the journal, I still have work to do, but a lot of the work that I did this year is going to just spill into 2025. So anyway, that's kind of been the mad journey that I've been on this year. Like, as I said, lots of challenges. Also, I didn't even mention, but earlier in the year, someone that I know, like a friend of mine, we've actually never met, but we've been like online friends for years, like years and years. I don't even know how we met, but like we've worked on different projects together throughout the years. But she asked me if I wanted to contribute to a monthly online magazine called All In Magazine, and I was like, do you know what, I haven't done any kind of like content creation, especially writing and stuff, in so many years. But I was like, sure. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna write about, but let's do it. So she had like a theme every month, and I just started like creating this like monthly article for this online magazine, which has been mad. And I'm just like, they're so varied. Like, she has like a theme, and then you just write whatever you think of for that theme. And then the same person, Kira Heenan, she asked me if I wanted to collaborate with some other mothers on a book all about motherhood called Mothership. She had already released a Mothership book 1, and she was creating book 2 and book 3, and she was looking for mothers that she loves and respects, and she'd wanted to be involved in the book or whatever. So I was like, again, I don't know what I'd write about, but sure, like I'm just gonna say yes. So I have written 2 chapters, and I really struggled with the first one just to find out what to say, but wrote 2 chapters. The first one, like, which is officially book 2, has just launched and been released, so I'm waiting for my copies to arrive, and hopefully I'll have them for the event in January. At least I can have something on my stall. And the second book, I think, is being published in the new year, so I may or may not have them for the events, but it doesn't matter. And she says, so that's officially book 2 and book 3, and then there's a book 4 that I can potentially collaborate on. So I'm going to work on writing another chapter on motherhood, and it's just been like a really amazing year for like creativity, a really amazing year for focusing on my health and my well-being, and on you know, what's really important with everything that happened with my family, like growing my family, and you know, with my dad and everything. It's just been a really insightful year and really fun year and creative year, and overall a really, really positive, amazing year that I've had. And I don't know if I should feel guilty saying that because my dad's not here and stuff like that. I know my husband struggled a bit over the Christmas because he's like, oh, I had a really good Christmas, but like, can I really say that because my dad's not there and stuff like that, you know? But I feel like I'm decompartmentalizing things. I'm like, no, it's been a really good year. Just things happen. like it can't be 100% everything is just happy all the time, like life happens. But going forward into 2025, like it's just so exciting. Like we've got the journal, we've got the events, we've got the business coaching, we've got book launches happening, we've got like the monthly online magazine. Actually, one of them is due today for January, so I should probably write that today as well and get that sent over. There's the house and everything that's happening there. There'll be a lot of back and forth to Portugal, getting the house dressed, like getting everything in there, getting ourselves sorted with doctors and preschools and schools and so many things that's like really going to set us up then for 2026. Like we're already in 2026, you know, but lots of time back and forth into our home and just like getting ourselves financially really set up for a great time when we move to Portugal, and health wise and stuff like that, who knows. Like I definitely have like an idea in my head. Like I'm currently like pre my second pregnancy weight. I want to get pre my first pregnancy weight, which I'm quite close to, but I'm not there yet. But I don't want to just hit that. Like I want to be able to maintain that without having like a really restrictive regimented routine or anything like that. Like I want to find that happy medium where I can like happily maintain that because it's my norm and that's just where I'm at, you know, that kind of way. So that's a full 2025 goal, weight wise and health wise. But it's not I'm not right now where I'm currently at, like I'm not doing like 75 hard or anything. It would be too hard with a newborn. She's 7 months now, with a baby and a toddler, with everything else that's going on like just in my life. But I am going to start doing intermittent fasting. I think I've done that before years ago, with an 8-hour eating window. So I think I'll do that and see how that goes for a while. But yeah, and I'm going to continue with YouTube even if nobody watches them. It doesn't matter. Like I'm really enjoying doing them. It's fulfilling for me. It gives me focus, and there's so many things that like I've been like recording videos about like the house renovation and just what's been going on. I've been recording videos about creating the journal and what's been going on there. I have some ideas for like videos about like motherhood and, you know, just things that pop into my head, and like again they're all completely random, but I'm just going to throw them up on here, and why not, you know. You never know what's going to happen. But I mean, that's my 2024. That's my thoughts for 2025. I've pretty much done all my intention setting and my reflection just now on this video, but I am going to get out pen and paper. I've got a new journal every year, like a new diary. I love going in and I put in all the important dates, like birthdays and anniversaries and like all the things. I already have like appointments and stuff for 2025, so I just want to get them all in and just really kind of like enjoy the evening before the new year. And I think I will write that article so that I can finish off the year on a high as well, on top of making this video. And I did like loads of cleaning and clearing out today as well. And yeah, I just love New Year's. It's just the best time of year, on top of all the other, I just love everything. Like I love birthdays, I love everything. So yeah, that is it for me today. Please do let me know if you do any kind of like intention setting or anything like that, and I'm wishing you all an incredible 2025, and I'm sending you all lots of love, and I hope that your 2024 is everything that you want it to be. And even if there are some shit things that happen throughout the year, it doesn't define the whole year. So yeah, peace out and talk to you soon. Bye. One thing that I almost forgot to mention, I did forget to mention, but I know I've mentioned it in other videos, so you may have known this already, but I'm just really proud of myself for this, is I've been doing Duolingo for about 200 days now, or just under, or whatever, but for Portuguese, and it's just a little bit every day. Some days way more than others. Like some days I'm just on a binge of Duolingo, but some days it's like literally the bare minimum. And I just think it's so amazing that we are actively, my husband is as well, actively learning another language. Like I just think it's so cool. And even if that was all I did this year, like that's just really, really cool and really impressive, I think. And it's not something for you don't just pick up a language, you know, like you have to keep going at it. And when we were in Portugal in November, I really noticed my conversational skills had just improved so much, even though it's just like literally a couple of minutes every day. So that's just another really great win for me for 2024, is learning a bit more Portuguese. Eu falo português. My pronunciation's probably awful, but that is it. So bye.